Thank you once again, colleagues, and on behalf of the Russian International Affairs Council and the Korea Foundation, and within the project, which is Korea Next Generation Policy Experts Networks. So we will try to make the final outcomes of the today's roundtable, which is second one for this project. The name of the roundtable was the Korean Peninsula State of Affairs and the Denuclearization Prospects, Room for Collaboration. So we had a very fascinating an intellectual stimulating discussion, and I would like our colleagues to make the final shots of the presentation. So first of all, I will ask Dmitry Stefanovich, Research Fellow, Center for International Security, Primakov Institute of World Economy and International Relations, just to give a few words about the discussions.
Yes, thank you. It was indeed a fascinating discussion, and I would emphasize several points I've made and that came up into my mind during our talks. First of all, any denuclearization prospects should take into account that we need to address the threat perceptions and misperceptions and the way North Korea sees its security challenges in the region, as well as other countries in the region considers and perceives the threat that emanates from North Korea and other countries as well. To address this challenge, we need to engage in a good faith discussions about military security that addresses not only nuclear but conventional domain as well. My final point would be that under current circumstances in today's polycentric world, there can't be any solution can be achieved without taking into consideration interests of all the parties involved. There can't be a solution agreed between Moscow and Washington or North Korea. As well, there can't be a solution agreed between Pyongyang and Seoul without considering the interests of Tokyo or Beijing. That's why we need proper multilateral discussions that should address the military dimension of what is going on in the region. With that, I'll stop. Thank you.
Dmitry, thank you very much. And Professor Son, who is Associate Research Fellow, Korean Institute for Defense Analysis. Professor Son, can you please share and say a few words about the finalizing the outcomes of our conversation today?
Thank you very much. It was a great presentation and discussions, and I was really happy and honored to have this opportunity. Well, I'm going to talk about North Korean Outlook 2021, more focusing on North Korean inner security circumstances with challenges and implications. Well, as you may see, the first slide is observing current situation of North Korea with opportunity and threats. Because of the COVID-19 is breaking out, I guess that North Korea is going through a very hard time in political, economic, and social aspects. It seems that this year will be an important decision-making year for North Korean authorities because there is increasing pressure to solve the transnational security challenges like COVID-19 and political burdens due to deepening chronic economic difficulties. And also, North Korea is considering a strategic response to the new US administration's North Korean policy. So the political, economic, military, and social opportunities and threats that is the North Korea is facing are as seen in PowerPoint slide. And according to the analysis, we can find some implications that North Korea region faces dilemmas. First one is prevent COVID-19 by blockade border makes economy worsen. And two, strengthening internal order makes durability weaken. Three, developing asymmetric weapon enforce sanction. And North Korea had to deal with those issues and think about the enlarging the overlaps of interest when they're participating in the negotiations and forming a breakthrough by changing its foreign relations and making a decision whether to reform without open or reform and open. And those analyses also give implications for our case security policy too. That we need to policy consistency and practical approach to get international cooperation for denuclearization, but at the same time, trying to achieve a gradual confidence building with North Korea. And regarding humanitarian aid for the vulnerable people of North Korea in various crises, we need to think about it. And in security aspect, preparing a proper response manual against North Korea's military threats. Well, we have to think about it too. This is end of my presentation, and thank you very much for listening. And it was and your precious time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Son, and Anna Polenova, Research Fellow, Center for Korean Studies, Russian Academic Science Institute for Eastern Studies. Yeah, please, Anna, just a few words about your research and the results of the presentation.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me today, and I'm very grateful for to my Russian and Korean colleagues for an in-depth discussion on the changing situation on Korean Peninsula due to the change in administrations of administration in the US, and the in-depth discussion of the role of South Korea in the cooperation process and the trust building process. My major point was that the nuclear issue of Korean Peninsula needs to be seen in a broader context of nuclear non-proliferation, and it is our last long-term goal, which we have to achieve eventually. And in the meantime, while we try to tie together the outlines of a new non-proliferation regime and the answer to the North Korean nuclear dilemma, we should address the question of confidence building, which is impeded by the difference in the cooperation perception between Pyongyang and its counterparts. And while Seoul and Washington seem to see the DPRK's readiness for cooperation in humanitarian and cultural field as Pyongyang given in any political sphere, Pyongyang sees Pyongyang seeks to prevent the transition from humanitarian cooperation to political interaction. A good solution in this situation would be cooperation as free from political undertones as possible. For example, projects aimed at the elimination of humanitarian threats caused by the coronavirus pandemic, natural disasters, and unintended impact of sanctions. That would be all. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Anna. And once again, thank all the speakers and warming gratitude and appreciation to Russian International Affairs Council and Korea Foundation for the organizing this fascinating event. Thank you very much, colleagues, and see you next time.